There has been a declaration of a truce, declaration of a ceasefire, a declaration of a halting of hostilities in the Israel-Iran conflict. I have to say Israel-Iran-America conflict, since America did become involved. And yesterday I was criticized by one of our listeners, actually my favorite CPA, Stan, for not recognizing the upside to all of what is going on with the decision, the bold decision on the part of this administration to go in and use these bombs to set the Iranian nuclear program back maybe years. And I said at that time that if things come together post-conflict, post-hostilities, and you really have a reconstitution of Iranian leadership, of goals in the region, then it could be an inflection moment that is really all positive. Leave aside the legality of doing it without talking to Congress. Leave aside the politics of having only informed Republican leadership and not informed Democratic leadership, etc. But I think you have to wait and see on this. I also think that there is a victory lap taken way too early, and I also think that there is a mission accomplished moment perhaps being played out now when we don't really know to what degree the Iranian nuclear program has been degraded. We don't know. It might be a resounding success, but there seem to be reports and bits of evidence that a lot of these nuclear materials were moved prior to the bombing. In a way, that's just a sideshow to what's going on now, because, as I say, you have a diminished Iran militarily. You have a diminished, decimated Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. You have no Iranian surrogate in Syria anymore with Assad gone. And with the Houthis are also degraded on some level. We could have a conversation about that in Yemen. But in any case, my point is this is a moment in time where the Middle East could be reconstituted, but you cannot leave out the question of the Palestinians and what's happened in Gaza and on the West Bank and what their future is. That has to be part of any reconstitution of the Middle East. So that's the backdrop against which all of this is happening. The president is, though, taking his victory lap, but not without some slaps to the people involved in keeping it going post-ceasefire. Israel and Iran exchanging fire after the deadline for ceasefire had passed. Go ahead, Tony.
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
Do you believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. but the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Well, I'm going to say one
Happy
thing. He stuck the
President to
landing,
you.
everybody.
There
Yeah,
you
he
go.
really did. Yeah. You know, it's always important to stick the landing. He did it. I think there was a lot there. Mostly, he's trying to crap all over the media who he feels don't give him enough credit for what he did. The move he makes, and this is a move that a lot, you'll see this a lot, particularly from the right, because they're in power now. They wrap themselves in the military, specifically in the B-2 pilots in this case. So, you know, it's not just the military. CNN insults the military. CNN should apologize to the B-2 pilots that they've insulted. Now, there was no insulting done of the B-2 pilots. I mean, every pundit and every objective appraisal of this entire mission recognized the military prowess involved in getting it done successfully. The questions became, was this the right move? Was this a successful mission? And you won't know that until you do a post-mortem on this. In other words, there has to be a real investigation of the blast site, and there has to be a real appraisal of the damage done. There's just no way to know, even though you're president of the United States, that there was anything more than a direct hit on the targets that were focused upon. But apart from that, you don't know if you actually blew up any materials. You don't know if you've destroyed their centrifuge. You don't know anything. If we got them the uranium reading would be off the charts. There would be toxic clouds all over. The readings are monitored by the Saudis, and they picked up nothing. Peter is saying that in the chat. Yeah, to be fair, you could destroy a lot of the apparatus without releasing the uranium. I mean, it's possible. So, but I take your point. I mean, if they were to have destroyed the stores of uranium or have hit the stores of uranium, there would be a corresponding release. And that would be picked up by American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, etc. On the point that we're making, though, about whether or not you can claim victory, you know, mission accomplished. Leon Panetta, I think, was on MSNBC. He was a former senator, and he was the Pentagon head, Department of Defense head. And here are his thoughts. Go ahead, Tony.
Well, Katie, that's very possible because it really does depend on damage assessments. And look, the ability to really get a very accurate damage assessment takes time, and it's going to take the ability to have feet on the ground, have intelligence gathered as to just exactly how much of Fordo and the other targets were destroyed. Right now, very frankly, we don't know the answer to that. Yes, they had a specific hit. I'm sure they did cause tremendous damage because that's the nature of the bomb that was dropped. But as to whether or not it totally destroyed Iran's nuclear capability, that still remains a question mark.
So NBC News reported that Iran was able to get a message to President Trump while he was at the G7 last week, warning that if he got involved in Israel's attack on Iran, that they would activate sleeper cells here in the United States. Do you take that as bluster or as real?
No, we have to be concerned about that. Look, they operate that way, not just in the United States, but around the world. They operate with secret cells. They operate on the basis of terrorism and assassination. That's something that Iran is very capable of and has shown that it can do that in other areas. So I think the United States has to be very concerned about that kind of effort to raise hell here in the United States.
What exactly
Okay,
is a
thank you.
sleeper cell?
Thanks for that.
What is
I
one?
wanted to just point out that in the chat, this is an intriguing scenario. The chat mentioned the same thing. The Big Tuna says, "Hey, Mark, have you seen the post on Substack by Lev Parnas? He thinks that Trump attacked Iran because he wants a reason to invoke martial law in the U.S. for possible threats of sleeper cells." I hadn't seen that. I don't put anything past this crew in terms of the overreach that they are inclined to be part of. But the sleeper cell narrative is one that is out there. You just heard Panetta talking about it, and it got some legitimacy. I think the sleeper cells that are, the potential sleeper cells exist in the West everywhere. So it could be a Western nation that's not America, but it could be Americans in that place. We've seen that happen in the past. So look, what can you say about that? No one knows. Maybe there's intelligence on this, but otherwise it's just a potential narrative. And apparently it was threatened by the Iranians. On the other hand, if the Iranians unleash sleeper cells in America, it would be a dangerous move, because there are every bits of indication that the Americans would retaliate. I mean, it's clear that there's a trigger finger with this crew, and I think they wouldn't, as much as I know he's an anti-war guy, I think he'd be inclined to, he'd come down hard if he had to. And so, and I think he'd feel compelled to if Americans were threatened in other parts of the world. So that's what I would say about that, because I don't think there's much that we can really know. Rich says the Iranian spokesperson said they moved everything, so very low impact. I mean, I also would say that Iran would say that, so I can't necessarily ascribe any credibility to that either. So, but the ceasefire is in effect. Trump is saying, both to collected media and on Truth Social, he said Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect, he added. Wow. I can't wait to read his children's book. He's got a real view of the world that is black and white. He also, of course, is saying he's not happy now with the violation of that ceasefire that he was declaring. Watch this for 90 seconds or so. I think you'll like this. This is a Petraeus on this entire situation, and Petraeus' history. So let's watch a little bit of the general and his opinions on this. Go ahead.
Let me get your immediate reaction to what we heard from the president this morning.
Well, President Trump is obviously trying to reinforce the ceasefire that he essentially declared. I'm not sure that either of the countries completely agreed with it when it was made, but Iran seemingly accepting this. They, of course, were engaged through the and then we engaged directly with the Israelis, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, who had previously said that Israel was very close to achieving its objectives, appears to have accepted it as well. Yes, there was that exchange. The Iranians in particular launched 5 volleys of rockets, which killed at least 4 Israelis. They responded to that. But I think that now that this is a bit more solid, and we'll see how it goes during the course of today, where you could see perhaps some further attacks on U.S. bases by Shia militias supported by Iran. There, as we saw, over the course of the last 24 hours, but with no American casualties.
All right. So that's General Petraeus with, he kind of said what I said, you know what I mean? But not that I'm so smart, but maybe that he's not, there's not much insight more that you can offer on this thing. But that's the situation. And the only thing I would say now is that there's a political power play that's being played out in Iran. Mm-hmm. And it's now being noted in more and more places. They're looking at plans to name a successor to lead Iran. And so senior clerics, it's noted, seeking a successor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. It's a three-man committee from a top clerical body appointed by Khamenei. This has gone on for a couple of years, trying to talk about and identify a replacement for Khamenei. But now, as you might imagine, these talks and these thoughts and this issue has really accelerated. He's 86 years old, so he'd be young by American legislative standards, They're going to try to name a successor. He's gone into hiding because of the threats to his life. He's taken special forces, the Revolutionary Guards, with him. And a new leader will be chosen. And they say the new leader will have devotion to the revolutionary precepts of the Islamic Republic's late founder, Ayatollah Khomeini. He was a Hall of Famer, that Ayatollah Khomeini. And if you just think of the history of Iran, what a wonderful country with such a rich history through that region. And the horror that has been wrought since religious extremism has taken over that country. Hey, it was no party when the United States installed the Shah after a democratically elected leader was there. Iran had elections, and we overturned the elections and installed the Shah, Reza Pahlavi, and he ruled with an iron fist. I mean, the region is ruled by autocrats, primarily. I mean, democracies don't really survive in that world of the Mideast. And under the Iranian despotic leadership of that installed leader, American installed leader, there were decades of his secret police and a really ugly time for many in Iran. Now, the Americans, during all of that time, through those decades, felt he's our guy. He'll take care of the region for us. He's our bad guy, if you want to think of it that way. And then the revolution came in 79, and now you're dealing with this, which is these religious extremists who run the place. Now, I don't even know that they're particularly popular. I don't think that they are. I mean, given a choice, I think the Iranian on the street would want the freedoms that come with a lot of Western culture, but that's not an option.
Aren't we just a year out from all the protests in Iran?
Yeah.
You remember the people rising up against the mistreatment of was it women? I think mostly, right?
Yeah. I mean, isn't it mostly women? I mean, my point is that culture and extreme, when you hear extreme religious fanatics, whatever extreme religion it is not going to be kind to women. Mm-hmm. I mean, these religions are cooked up by guys, and they're really good to guys. I get it, inspired by God, whatever, right. Apparently God really likes guys. So we'll follow this story, both the story of who will succeed in the politics of Iran and also how long will the ceasefire last. We'll get to this as a repetitive theme, obviously, in the days to come and the hours to come. And we're a live show, so if anything happens, we will tell you. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.